Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to our Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, we had a tremendous weekend of wrestling this weekend. We had the Second City Summit in Chicago featuring 4 Game Changer wrestling shows along with AEW All Out. We had WWE Clash at the Castle, and then we also had NXT Worlds Collide. We're going to go through those 59 matches, and we're going to get the best 20 of them. And so the shows that we take a look at, Game Changer, Black Label Pro, 4 Cups Stuffed, was on Friday night. There's a full review on Robert Sports Show. WWE Clash at the Castle, the full review here. Game Changer Wrestling Settlement Series Part 2. Game Changer Wrestling Art of War 2, featuring their War Games match for the Game Changer Wrestling Tag Team titles. Full review here on Robert Sports Show. GCW's Effy's Big Gay Brunch 5 started off on Sunday. Then midday Sunday with the NXT Worlds Collide. There's a full review up. And we ended last night with the AEW All Out Spectacular. Full review here on Robert Sports Show. So those top 20 matches of the 59 matches over the weekend of those 7 shows. Number 20, NXT 2.0 Worlds Collide. The NXT Tag Team Champions, NXT United Kingdom Tag Team Championships on the line in a fatal four-way match elimination. The Creed Brothers NXT Champions, Brutus and Julius, Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs, NXT UK Champions, versus Pretty Deadly versus Gallus. Pretty Deadly members are Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. Gallus members were Mark Coffey and Wolfgang. Pretty Deadly walked out of Orlando as the unified NXT Tag Team Champions in a 3.5-star match. Number 19 on the list comes from Worlds Collide as well, for the unification match for the NXT Women's Championship and NXT UK Women's Championship. Mandy Rhodes, the NXT Women's Champion, Miko Satomura, the NXT UK Champion, and Blair Davenport. My favorite here was Blair Davenport. I think she's one of the most talented women's wrestlers out there. 2 years ago, when the pandemic first started, she actually had a match against the world-renowned Will Ospreay, and that match was a 4-star classic. Here, Mandy Rose unified the NXT Women's titles in a 3.5-star match. Number 18 on the list comes from Game Changer Wrestling. Black Label Pro presents 4 Cups Stuffed 6-man tag. Gringo Loco, Latigo, Toxin versus ASF, Drago Kid, and Laredo Kid. The team of Gringo Loco, Latigo, and Toxin got the victory. I give it 3 3/4 star. Number 17 also came from Game Changer Wrestling, and Black Label Pro presents 4 Cups Stuffed. Intergender singles match. We had Mike Bailey versus Kylie Ray. Mike Bailey got the victory. I gave it 3 3/4 star. Number 16 comes from Game Changer Wrestling, The Art of War 2. This was the 2-ring ladder match to start the show. The DDT Extreme Championship on the line. We had champion Joey Janela versus Cole Radrick versus Dante Leon versus Drago Kid, Gringo Loco, Mike Bailey, Shane Mercer, and Tony Deppen. Joey Janela retained his DDT Extreme Championship in 3 3/4 star match. Now, Game Changer Wrestling ladder matches such as this was done a little different. Basically, the ladder was in use to do spots off of, but you had to get a pinfall or submission to get the title. The title wasn't hanging above like a typical ladder match. I think if this would have been a typical ladder match, I think we would have done 4 1/4, because it was an extremely good match. It's just that kind of took away from the ladder match vibe of it. Number 15 on the list also comes from Game Changer Wrestling, The Art of War 2. Blake Christian versus Alex Shelley. The past, I'd say the veteran Lucha Libre kind of, X Division / cruiserweight kind of, hybrid wrestler, and Alex Shelley versus the modern day version of Blake Christian. Phenomenal match. Blake Christian actually, surprisingly to me, got the victory. I gave it 3 3/4 star. Next up, we have from the Art of War 2, GCW's. In the tag team match, we had Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne teaming up, going against Aussie Open United Empire members Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. One of my favorite tag teams. I know we've recently seen them on AEW Dynamite and some AEW stuff. I've been watching Ozzy Open in Red Pro, Progress, some stuff out of Australia, World Series of Wrestling, and a couple other organizations. I've seen him in New Japan Open now. They are one of the, and Excalibur even said this, they are the best tag team in the last 5 years that no one knows. It's amazing how great they are. They were able to get the victory here. I ended up giving it 3 3/4 star match. When the card was announced, this is actually the match that I had told the Pulse family. I'm like, this is the match to watch. Not that War Games match. It's going to be beyond great. This is the match I'm looking forward to as well. It was a little disappointing. I was hoping for a little higher, but I ended up giving it 3 3/4. It was a great match, though. Number 13 on the list, NXT Worlds Collide, NXT North American title on the line, champion Carmelo Hayes versus Ricochet. Again, one of those matches that was not going to disappoint. As talented as Ricochet is, I think Carmelo Hayes is awesome as well. Like I said in my Worlds Collide review, I've been following Carmelo Hayes since his, oh gosh, what is his name? Something I can't think of his name now. He was in Northeast Wrestling there for a while. Let's take a look at that if we can find that real quick here. It don't matter. I said it in the review there, but I've been following him for years now, and I've always thought he was talented as hell. He did retain the NXT North American Championship here in a 4-star match. Number 12 on the list comes from WWE Clash at the Castle, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, WWE Champion match. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Roman Reigns getting the victory there, extending his title reign here in 4-star match. What's next for Roman Reigns? We'll find out on Monday Night Raw tonight and on Friday Night SmackDown. We do know that there is a new member of the Bloodline in Solo Sakai, the only Uso that's allowed to fly out of the country. Alright, and Roman got that victory in a 4-star match. Next up, number 11 on the list comes from AEW All Out 0 Hour. This is actually the 4th match on the pre-show. We had the men's singles match, Eddie Kingston, Tomohiro Ishii 2. These dudes chop the living hell out of one another. This is one of my favorite matches. Just the two guys going at it. Remind me a lot of Sheamus and Gunther at Clash of the Contenders. I gave this match 4-star. Eddie Kingston getting the victory. Number 10 on the list also comes from AEW All Out. This was on the main card. We had the AEW World Tag Titles on the line. We had champions Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, whose house? It's Swerve's house, of course, versus the Acclaim, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Swerve in Our Glory getting the pinfall victory here in a 4-star classic match. Next up, we had number 9 on the list, also came from AEW All Out, the AEW Interim World Women's Championship in a fatal 4-way match. Toni Storm versus Dr. Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida versus Jamie Hayter. Toni Storm getting the victory there in a 4-star match. I cannot wait now for Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. That match will be awesome. Number 8 on the list comes from NXT 2.0 Worlds Collide, NXT Championship versus the NXT UK World Championship. NXT Champion Braun Breaker versus the big strong boy, the NXT UK Champion, 2-time NXT UK Champion, the first and the last, Tyler Bate. What an amazing match this was. There was times in this match I thought Tyler Bate was going to win, but we went ahead and had Braun Breaker go ahead and unify both world titles in a 4 1/4 star match. Next up, number 7 on the list comes from WWE Clash at the Castle. We had Seth Rollins versus Riddle. This match was just, in my opinion, amazing. You had just, it seemed like almost like a real life feud along with the storyline feud. Seth Rollins getting the victory. I give it 4 1/4. Number 6 on the list comes from AEW All Out for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Champion Jon Moxley versus Chicago Zone CM Punk. You have a Cincinnati boy in Chicago versus a Chicago boy who you think the crowd was going to be hot for. They were very, very hot for CM Punk. 4 1/4 star match, and Mr. CM Punk winning his title in his hometown, becoming a two-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion. as we know the fallout from that, the whole media scrum, the whole possible fight with the Bucks in the back. Supposedly the members of the Elite threatened to walk out. All that overshadowed the return of Maxwell Jacob Freeman, who was still back with Stokely Hathaway like his AAW days. That little faction going on there with W. Morrissey, Lee Moriarty, the Gun Club, Ethan Page. Can't wait to see what that brings. More than likely in New York, in the Arthur Ashe Stadium will probably be where that happens. That's going to be MJF's home. I would love for it to happen last night. I was hoping for a Money in the Bank type cash in last night with that chip, but we didn't get that. But hey, it was still amazing, but it's being overshadowed by all the backstage drama. I look at it this way, and Tony Khan's made some comments. I kind of saying shit about Tripp and WWE about doing shows on their weekend. Last year, they didn't do anything on Labor Day weekend. Now they are. I got the money. I can fight. Like, compared himself to Jim Crockett Promotions. You know what controversy creates cash? Mr. Bischoff said that. You know what that does for us wrestling fans? Makes better product for everyone. All that inner bickering, especially if it's bickering between WWE and AEW. Supposedly Tripp is calling AEW talent up and trying to poach them and all this. That just brings more better stuff for us to watch. I don't need all this shit to report it on Twitter. I want to go back to where the day we didn't have Twitter. I want to go back to the day where we get to the arena in 1996. WCW. I'll know where I'm going with this. Bash to the Beach. We didn't know we didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know. Eric Bischoff, the king of the NWO, did not know if it was going to be Sting or Hogan. No clue. When Hogan walked out there, that arena erupted. No one had any freaking idea, except for four people, what was getting ready to happen. The fact that the brain goes, what if Hogan's the third guy? The announcers knew nothing. It's just heel Heenan being heel Heenan. And poof, the NWO was born. You know how bad the Twitter would have ruined that for us? But you know what? We need to get rid of Twitter. Because of that reason right there. It ruins wrestling, but hey. You know what? We have CM Punk, AEW World Champion. We got MJF as the #1 contender. That's going to go down. They've had him feud already, which has been amazing. Can't wait. Number 5 on the list from WWE Clash at the Castle. WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther versus Sheamus. Holy snap. What a match this was. This is one of the best Intercontinental title matches in a long time. Gunther retaining it, 4.5-star classic. Number 4 on the list comes from GCW, the Art of War 2. The GCW World Tag Team Championships on the line in War Games. A tag team version of War Games. So we had 2 teams start. Every 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was, another team came in. And then we could just go out there and annihilate everyone. It was champions, the Briscoes, J. Mark Briscoe, Sandy Fork, Delaware, versus Bussy, Ali Catch, and Effy, versus Los Mazeros, Syncope, Media Extremo, versus the Second Gear Crew, Mance Warner, Matthew Justice, and the Mega Bastards, Alex Colon and John Wayne Murdoch. The survivor of War Games were the Mega Bastards, Alex Colon, John Wayne Murdoch. The new GCW World Tag Team Champions, 4.5-star classic. Next up, number 3 on the list comes from AEW Men's Casino Ladder Match. I thought this match was better than a lot of people did, but I loved it. MJF, which we found out was the Joker, Claudio Castagnoli, Pinto El Zero Mieda versus Rey Fenix, versus Wheeler Yuta versus Roosh, versus Andrade El Idolo versus Dante Martin. Check out my review. I went through this match pretty big. MJF, as we know now, the Joker, got the victory, 4.5-star. I loved it. Next up, we had from AEW All Out, we had the Chris Jericho, the Lionheart, versus Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. An old school fight for me. I compared it to Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, WCW Saturday Night back in 1996. One of those matches that I can look back on and like, hey, this is my favorite match. You know, this one rated well, but you know, one of those things where it's like just pure wrestling match. Go on the mat, just kind of wrestling hold, and let's do this. Chris Jericho getting the victory. A little low blow at the end and Judas Effect, but you know, that's Chris Jericho for you. 4.5-star classic. And the number one match from the weekend, in my mind, hands down, AEW World Trios Championship on the line. We had the Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson versus the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Adam Hangman Page. I really want to see what falls out from this with Hangman. If he still stays with the Dark Order, if he goes back with the Elite. I know there was some iffiness there. Again, I've covered that more in my review. I give this 4 3/4 star. So those are the best 20 matches of the 59 matches over the weekend. This video will be up at the time of the NRL starts, so I'll be enjoying that as well. So as always, thanks for watching the Rubber Sports Show. Don't just have a great day, have a spiffy day. Rubber Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.